Over 1 million teachers use iExcel in their classrooms every day for one reason. They love it. Why? iExcel is where the magic happens. With just one platform, teachers can personalize learning for every student. iExcel gives teachers all the tools they need to enhance and differentiate instruction without adding work to their plates. Plus, iExcel has decades of expertise and has proven to be effective. Studies on more than 70,000 schools across nearly 50 states show that those who use iExcel outperform others on state tests. Ready to bring the magic to your school? Visit iexcel.com/PM to learn more.
You're listening to Monday Matters, a Principal Matters podcast production.
Hi, friends. This is Will Parker back with my co-host, Dr. Jen Schwanke, for another Monday Matters. Jen, this recording is coming out in August, and there are actually some schools that are bringing people back at the beginning of the month. I know a lot of leaders that are coming back right now, and I just wanted to bring, this is actually, I'm going to share a companion post in the show notes from years ago. You and I have talked about this before. And so this one is actually, I pulled a post from like 2019 of just notes I like to share whenever I'm stepping into the first days of school. And so, first of all, welcome back. I hope you're having a great summer. How's the heat in Ohio? It's been really hot here in Oklahoma.
It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. Yeah. I have nothing kind to say about that. I actually would prefer heat over cold. So there's that. But yeah,
it's something not in common, because I would rather bundle up. It's like in the heat, I just am so frustrated that I can't do anything about it. In cold, I can do something about it. And so I don't know, Jen, I guess you're not as much my sister as I thought.
I guess. Well, the cold thing, I don't understand you people who are like, just put on a hat, because then I have to deal with the layers and the cold and be, is it enough? Is it not enough? But every morning in the summer when I wake up and go on my run, I am grateful because I put on my running shirt, my shorts, and I go. Done.
I think
no hat, no gloves,
I think it may be the difference in where we live, because in Oklahoma, I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to beat the heat. And even then it's already hot and humid.
Oh yeah.
And so, but where you live in the winter, it's way worse than it is here. You guys have so much more snow. So I think part of it is context.
Yeah, it is.
Different places we might both.
It's also me being a baby. Let's own that. Let's just say that. I don't like being cold.
Okay. So let me ask Principal Managers listeners, as you think about getting ready to step in the first days of school, you have so many things on your list, so many priorities, but for just a moment, I want you to imagine you are a girl or a boy stepping into your school for the first time. I want you to imagine you're a student. And I'm going to imagine a student that who's at the secondary level, because that's where I served, Jen. And my student's name is going to be Jenny, no relation to you. And Jenny is a sophomore who's also working a part-time job, and she's a student from a home that doesn't have as many resources as some other kids do. And so she wasn't even able to come to like parent orientation night. She's just showing up on that first day and she's scrambling. She's late. She's missed breakfast. She's standing in a long line when she walks in because she doesn't have a schedule yet. And the school that she shows up to hasn't really thought about kids that maybe didn't show up to get schedules. So they don't have schedules printed off in advance. You'd have to go stand in the office with all the other kids that didn't show up. And so by the time she gets her schedule, it's like 20 minutes into first period. So she wanders around. There's no signage on the walls. She doesn't even have a school map. So she just figures out finally where that math class is, and she steps in, and the teacher is so involved he doesn't even welcome her. So she finds a seat, and she's about, 5 minutes into the class trying to figure out, am I in the right place and what am I supposed to be doing here, when she realizes she's in the wrong room because the teacher's name she finally figures out doesn't match what's on her schedule. So she just gets up and barges out of class, finds a bathroom, and just cries. And so she's her first day of school has been one of discomfort and feeling overwhelmed. And her school didn't necessarily do a great job anticipating Jenny. And I'm starting there because sometimes it's so easy for us to forget what it's like to be her.
Mhm.
Um, and every time I get ready to and Jen, I'm a big Harry Wong fan, and for the first 4 years of my teaching career, I read his book every summer
Mhm.
because it would help me get back into that mindset. And there are 7 questions that Harry Wong says every child asks on the first day of school. 1, am I in the right room? 2, where am I supposed to sit? 3, who is my teacher as a person? 4, will my teacher treat me like a human being? 5, what are the rules here? 6, what will I be doing this year? And 7, how will I be graded? And I know there's more than that, but those are the most common. And years ago, I rewrote those questions for not just the classroom, but for the entire campus, the
Mm.
entire school, because every person who steps onto your campus is going to be asking, what is my schedule? Do I have any extra duties or activities or assignments? Because teachers ask these questions too. Who is my principal or my administrators as a team? Person? Who are they as people? Will this school treat me like a human being? What are the expectations and procedures and policies of this entire school community? What am I expected to accomplish this year? And how will I be held accountable? And so I know, Jen, I'm just a broken record, but I wanted to start with those stories and those questions because I know you have thoughts too.
Right. Well, and I think the time this came home to me, I was working as a principal and hired a new teacher, and she came in for a one-on-one in August, and we went through all the things, here's your room, here's your roster. I tried to answer the questions I thought she needed answers to. And at the end, she got up and she got to the door and she turned around and she said, I'm so sorry to ask this, but where do I park? And so from that day forward, I started to make a list of questions, and I would ask new teachers later in the year, tell me what I didn't help you with.
Yeah.
And, things like that. Even when you set up the phone call and say, when you get here, go around the back of the building. You can have any parking spot. Now, there are some that we set aside for parents or whatever, you need to say. You can't possibly remember it all. And there is the informal coaching and mentoring that teachers will get from others. But to the best of your ability to make those kind of questions not scary or as if they're insurmountable, I think is a way, just like Jenny, you don't have to have anybody tuck into the bathroom to get a good cry.
Oh, what a great reminder. I've told this story before, but at one time I was in a hospital when our son Jack was going through a crisis in second grade. And so I'd been there for days and he recovered wonderfully. But I was standing in the hall looking for a place to get coffee, and I saw this doctor walk by in the lab coat, and he was surrounded by all these young people. And he was like, this is if you ever need any office supplies, this is like a place where you can come. And he was just and I was the light bulb went off in my head. I was like, when have I ever taken a team of new teachers around and showed them everything?
Mhm.
Here's the
Right.
copy room. Here's the counseling room. Here's the nurse's office. Here's the and so I'm not saying this because it's gonna apply in every place. Some people listen to the show and their campuses are as big as college universities. Some people listen to this show and their schools are so small you can walk around one hallway in 60 seconds. But I guarantee the people that are coming to your school, parents, kids, teachers, there are things we can answer for them before they get there. And
Mhm.
so how do we create the kinds of places where our hospitality is anticipating them as our guests because we want them to feel like they belong. And so, Jen, the notes I'm getting ready to share right now are some things you and I've talked about before. So I'm just being an honest teacher with people listening, but I want to revisit them when it comes to just things for school leaders to keep in mind as they start the year. And I'm just going to name 6. Number 1, build and rebuild relationships. Why is relationship building where we should begin this list? Reconnecting with people is where everything begins.
Right.
And so, whether that's teachers, custodians, parents, kids, people want to know that you see them and that you acknowledge them, that you cared about their summer, that you want to know what's going on with their families, that you're rebuilding trust because you got a whole lot of year to do together. And
Right.
so let's don't forget that build and rebuild relationships is where it all begins.
Well, let me tie that back to Jenny before you go to your second point here is I have seen students come in on the first day and somebody's hollering at them literally from a megaphone, all new students go down to the gym or whatever. That's not the kind of relationship you want to build. You want to make sure the tone and the timbre of your voices are such that students are like, okay, even if I have to go in here and get my schedule, people are nice. They're glad that I'm here and they're going to be kind to me. That's how we build those relationships.
Yeah. Okay. Thing two, and this is going to look different, but your community should probably be hearing from you before they get there. And so, whether that's technology, social media, newsletters, um, man, Jen, it's been a long time since you and I have been in the building as building leaders. And so, but I'm on the other side of that now. But what are some ways that we can be sharing with people before they ever get there?
Well, I think throughout the summer, some social media posts, some emails, you know, parents will never say, "Oh gosh, I wish I had gotten less communication from the school." They may be annoyed at the number of emails, but through July and August, just send a few emails that say, "Hey, we're working hard. We can't wait to welcome your students." Those kind of things to make sure that everybody knows you're on it, you got it, and the doors are going to be open on this day at this time, and making sure that people in the community know what's going on.
Yeah. All right. That's number two. Number three is um, let's visit our systems again. Let's look at our organizational and management. Like already know in advance, like how many teachers a week and who you're going to try to see. Because if you don't, you're going to be winging it,
Right.
and it's going to end up creating a system where your teachers don't feel valued.
And I'm gonna say repeat exactly what you just said, rely on that team. My favorite question was always, "All right, guys, what are we forgetting? What are we forgetting?" And there's guaranteed to be somebody in that room who's like, "Oh, we forgot to put the sandwich board out front, driving people to the right door," or whatever it is. Make sure you are asking your team, "What are we forgetting?"
All right. Number four, define responsibilities. So if you lead a team, thinking of right now of principal friend who's got a team of 5 principals. I've got friends that are solo principals, but there needs to be some place where I can look and see what are my responsibilities and what are yours. And if that's something you've done in the past, then you rework that. If it's not something you've done before, you begin to have conversations with both. A lot of this is non-instructional staff too, of just knowing people's what I call key responsibilities and making sure that they're confident that this is what their job is. Um, Jen, I've told that story many times of sitting down with my staff and asking people to help me learn what they do and us creating those lists together if we'd never had one before. But I think that's an important way to help people feel confident as they step into a year two.
That's absolutely right. And defining responsibilities. I recorded an episode not too long ago that will come out in October. I'm not going to tell you guys who it is, but his big thing is let's not delegate, let's empower. And I think that can be folded up into these defined responsibilities. You're empowering others to help make your job easier, honestly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I will mention a guest that's gonna be coming out in November because I just finished a book by Justin Bader and Keith Fickle called Cultivate and Activate: Building Teacher Capacity, and they've got, like, incredibly great, like, rubric examples and things in there, Jen, of ways that they've helped, define some of those. So if you're looking for a resource, there's lots of good ones out there. Number 5, um, just a reminder to manage high anxiety. Starting back to school means stress increases, anxiety goes up. And so your ability to demonstrate sense and calm and reassurance in that time can be really important, because parents are feeling it, kids are feeling it, the whole community's feeling it. And there's a good positive energy happening too, Jen. But it can also sometimes make people feel really pushed,
Mhm.
really anxious. So, um, I don't know, any tips on how do you reassure people as they step into a new season?
Here's what I've started to do. I need to work on myself more than anyone else, and by that, I mean, I am constantly telling myself, "This isn't as big as it feels. You're gonna get through this. This'll be a distant memory in 6 months' time." Just to remind myself, lower your own anxiety, and that way you can lower everyone else's.
Well, and I probably don't have a listener out there who isn't already doing this, but I'm just gonna say these as good reminders. But welcome people back in ways that celebrate them.
Mhm.
So that whether that's a great big breakfast together or a lunch together, or you have some small gifts ready, or you've rehearsed some positive things to celebrate, as you come back, just to reassure them again and again that you're going to have a great year ahead and create the kind of atmosphere where people want to be.
Exactly.
Which leads to the last reminder. And if, again, I'm sure everyone is planning this, but if not, I just think it's so important to think about how to host really good orientation meetings, especially with new students or returning students or new parents, especially. And that's going to look different at the elementary to the middle to the high school level. But the goals are the same. How do I communicate expectations? How do I show the positivity of being here? And how do we show that we're available to answer your questions?
One of the things that I did and my colleagues always did that was so helpful was outsource things you aren't the expert in. So have the transportation department come and set up a table at an orientation, have the food service people there so that you don't have to be the expert in anything, but you have the experts there.
All right, Jen, as we wrap up, I'm going to just encourage listeners to go to the post with today's Monday Matters, because all of these tips are going to be there, including some additional checklists for school leaders for the first days that I'm not going to read right now.
Yeah, I was going to, sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, well, make sure our listeners know about your checklist, because this is good, folks. This is, do you have your signage up? Have you included maps for new students? And there's several of them. So go to the show notes, because Will has quite a list here that you all need to see.
Well, and it's a list based on practice. A lot of this content that we're talking about today came from my book, Messaging Matters, how to inspire students, motivate teachers, and reach your communities. And just a selfish plug, Jen, I'm actually going to be presenting that book to a staff in Cleveland, Ohio, in the month of August, probably around the time this comes out. And also doing a virtual team training on this book with a group of friends out in Oregon this month too. So this book just keeps coming back. And I think it keeps coming back because these are just the practices that help us remind ourselves to go full circle of what it feels like when you see your eyes, see your eyes through this. What am I trying to say? When you see your
school through fresh eyes.
How can I not say that?
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jen. And so, yeah, pretend you're that person. Walk into your school today and pretend you've never been there. And then ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do about that? Because it's kind of like our own home. Sometimes I have to walk back into my house like I've never been here and go, oh, that's been sitting there for forever.
Exactly.
I need to revisit this.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, Jen. Well, how can our listeners stay connected with you and your wonderful resources this week?
Yep. Find me at jenschwanke.com and lots of resources and ways to connect there.
And don't forget to subscribe to Jen's newsletter, Principal Problems, because it's so rich, Jen. And you can find all of today's resources at my website at williamdparker.com or at principalmatterspodcast.com. Until next time, thanks for doing what matters. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Principal Matters, the School Leaders Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, would you take a moment and like, share, subscribe, or leave us a review? In fact, if you share it out with a friend, even more people can become a part of these conversations. Sign up for our newsletter at williamdparker.com for even more free resources. And don't forget to check out our website to learn more about our books, professional development offerings, Grow Academies, masterminds, executive coaching, and keynote presentations. Wow, let's keep learning together. And thank you for doing what matters.
Monday Matters.